Good evening and welcome to Season 5, Race 2 of the Vintage Racer Group's Virtual Racer League. Tonight from Road Atlanta, we bring you the Petite 1.2. This is an endurance format event. We'll have 45 minutes of qualifying from 8 to 8:45 and a 75-minute race from 8:45 to 10 o'clock p.m. So hang tight and enjoy the coverage, and we'll be back with you shortly. Hello and good evening. Again, this is Jim Karamanis with the Vintage Racer Group, bringing you the Virtual Racer League. Season 5, Race 2, the Petite 1.2 from Road Atlanta. Tonight we have 45 minutes of qualifying, ending at 8:45, followed by a 75-minute race. We should have at least one pit stop tonight, possibly even two. So there should be some interesting strategy to follow. Right now you're on board with Mac McCormack. Just under 20 minutes left in qualifying. Stefan Vapa, series leader, leading the way at a 1:16.6. Darren Treacle, just a tenth behind at a 1:16.707. Dave Fitzgerald running at the top three at a 1:17.390. Ian Wisbin, who commentated the last race, usually drives that little Mini Cooper that you see there, but somehow it's morphed into a Corvette this week. Ian's fourth right now at a 1:17.925. Quick lap. And we've got about 10 minutes left in qualifying. We're on board with Steve Ficacci, who is currently gridded 4th at a 1:17.4. Let's see he can move a little bit further up the grid. About 8 minutes remaining in qualifying. Darren Treacle is up to 2nd at a 1:16.626. You're on board with him. We've got about 6 minutes left in qualifying. Steve Ficacci has jumped to the top of the leaderboard at a 1:16.376. Stefan Vappa is just a couple thousandths behind. Oh, and Darren Treacle jumps to the top at a 1:16.250. Top three are making fast lap after fast lap. This is due to be a very exciting race. board with John Wood. Currently 5th on the leaderboard at a 1:17.764. And we've got about 2 minutes left in qualifying. And we're with Scott Luttrell right now in his Porsche. Scott jumped in late, but let's see if he can get a quick qualifying lap before time expires. Stefan Vappa pushing hard, trying to get his way up the leaderboard. Currently qualified in 3rd. Running out of time, this will be his last lap. And that's the end of qualifying as our starter waves the checkered flag. Again, this is Jim Karamanis with the Vintage Racer Group, coming at you with the Virtual Racer League, Season 5, Race 2. This is the Petite 1.2 from Road Atlanta. Tonight we have a 75-minute endurance race. And as soon as timing and scoring updates, we'll bring you the starting grid. And the starting grid for the Petite 1.2, we have Darren Treacle on pole, Steve Ficacci in second, Stefan Vapp in third, Dave Fitzgerald in fourth, John Wood in fifth, Ian Wisman in sixth, Dave Curtis in seventh, Bob Lang in eighth, Mac McCormack in ninth, Clark Orstrom in 10th, Christian Berzins in 11th, and Ralph Solomon in 12th, and Scott Luttrell in 13th. Tonight we'll have a full pace lap behind our Porsche safety car. And it looks like we're waiting for a couple cars to jump on the grid, and then we'll be off. And we're all in. And we'll roll off the grid now. Again, this is an hour and 15-minute endurance format. So it may take a while to see these cars reach their full potential. It's a long race. Most of the drivers won't want to take it all out on the car in the first lap. It's a very tight, twisty track, and on cold tires it's very easy to go off and ruin your race. And we're approaching turn 5. Making our way down the back stretch. Quite a long backstretch here at Road Atlanta. This is the only opportunity on this track to try to catch a tow of the car in front of you. And these cars do give each other a bit of tow if you're within a second of each other. Not quite as much as we had at Daytona a week ago, but enough to help get you side by side into this passing zone. And we're rounding the final corner, and we're green, green, green. So far, we're clean. Clark Ostrom with a pass on Dave Curtis. Dave Fitzgerald with a pass on Stefan Vapa. Fitzgerald up to third. Treacle maintains the lead. Vapa in fourth. Ian Wisbin in fifth. Scott Luttrell passes Christian Berzins for 12th. Ralph Salomon passes Mac McCormick for 10th. Ian Wisdom passes Stefan Vapa for 4th. Our series leader dropping back to 5th at the start of this race. The Ferrari is not great on cold tires. I suspect he will be making his way back up the grid as his tires come in. And right here we see Stefan making a move on Ian. And it looks like he will pretty easily take this position. Ian fights back. No! Ian holds it. Nicely done by Wisbin. Treacle maintaining the lead. Followed closely by Ficacci and Fitzgerald. Two BMWs followed by a Corvette. Another Corvette in fourth with Wisbin. The lone Ferrari in the race in fifth. Looks like Scott Luttrell may have had an incident at the back of the pack. He's been passed by Christian Berzins and Clark Ostrom. But we'll stick with the lead battle for now. Ficacci and Fitzgerald holding on to Treacle thus far. Vapa holding on to Wisbin. Ficacci holding on to Darren. Just a car length apart. Close battle. Fitzgerald stretching out a little bit from Wisbin. And it looks like Vapa has taken the position from Wisbin. Fitzgerald goes off, gets back on, but now he's in the clutches of Vapa. And now our battle at the front is two cars. Vapa slowly starting to reel Fitzgerald in. Top two already into the low 117s. Vapa continues to hunt down Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald weaving to try to break the toe. Vapa's holding on and making the move. Fitzgerald taking a defensive line. Maintains the position through the S's. Fitzgerald about 3 seconds behind Ficacci now. At the front, Ficacci very close to Treacle still. About a car length apart. Fitzgerald gently holding on to his lead in front of Vapa. The Ferrari's charging hard. Going on board with Vapa. Coming around the hairpin, headed down the long back straight. Let's see if Vapa can take advantage of the slipstream. That Corvette is awfully fast in a straight line. Fitzgerald taking a defensive line. He maintains the position. Pays for it on the exit. Good battle here. Battle at the front, slightly stretched out now. Fakachi still holding on to Treacle, but Treacle maintaining his lead. Hasn't put a foot wrong. Vapa continues to hound the Corvette of Fitzgerald. Berzins and Luttrell going at it. Berzins takes the position from Luttrell. Luttrell's car looks a little bent. Bob Lang in front of Mac McCormack. The two vets having a good scrap. Vapa again right on the doorstep. Fitzgerald doing a good job of using the entire road. Great battle between these two. Treacle has the fast lap of the race right now at a 1:16.575. Wisman doing a good job of hanging on to these two. He's running similar lap times. This is the closest battle on track. We've got a car off. Looked like Ralph Salomon in the Porsche. Vapa attempting the move. He's inside, going into turn one. No! Almost had contact going up the hill. Fitzgerald stretches out a little bit of a lead. Wisman takes advantage, closes the gap a bit. Now about 2 seconds back of Vapa. Let's go on board with Wisman. He's got a great view of the chase. On board with Vapa, attempting the move again on Fitzgerald. Seems to be a little faster coming into the final corner. Is this it? Side by side going into turn one. Does he have it this time? It looks like he's ahead. He's ahead, climbing up the hill, and he has the position. Nice clean pass by Stefan. Let's see if he can put a gap between himself and Fitzgerald now. Luttrell moves out of the way to let the faster cars through. Ian had to slide off, brings it back on track. That was enough for John Wood to get a run on him. John Wood takes the position. See if we can see exactly what happened to Ian. Working his way around the Porsche. Just comes in a little hot. That's a shame. Wisbin is caught back up to the BMW. Attempting to put the move on. Somehow they're passing the Porsche yet again. Good scrap here. This is the closest battle on track. Wisman still attempting to run down John Wood. BMW has good speed down the straight. Looks like Clark Armstrong has passed Mac McCormack. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. And it doesn't look like it's going to work. Christian Berson's working on Mac McCormack. And Berson's takes the position. Nicely done. Jumping back up to the front. Treacle about 2.5 seconds ahead of Ficacci now as he laps McCormack. It's a long race, folks. We're only 13 minutes into a 75-minute race. Cars are only fueled at 55% of capacity, so they will have at least one pit stop, possibly two. Vappa is about 2 seconds up from Fitzgerald at this point, attempting to run down Ficacci. Fitzgerald has a slight off, but he has a 17-second lead on John Wood. And it looks like Ralph Solomon has had an issue. Let's see if we can pick it up. Ralph Salomon in the Porsche RSR has gone off. Stefan Vappa goes purple in the first sector. In his hunt of the first two. Dave Fitzgerald hanging on the 4th place. A couple seconds back of Vappa. Salomon has pulled his Porsche into the pits for repairs. Fitzgerald successfully laps McCormack. Wisbin working on Dave Curtis. Looks like Dave got by Ian. Let's see if we can get a replay of that. And it looks like Wisbin has a little bit of an off. And Curtis pounces. Well done, Dave. In about a half second back of Curtis. And Wisbin takes the position back. Back up front. The lead still under 2 seconds. Back to Ficacci. Oh, we're under a second now. I don't see any incidents for Darren. Looks like Ficacci's turning faster laps. Seems to be running them down quickly. I wonder if Treacle has an issue. Looks like Bob Lang, Clark Ostrom, Scott Luttrell all in the pits. Topping off with fuel. And Lang comes out of the pits. Treacle slightly extends the lead. We're only 18 minutes into a 75-minute race. Surprised to see so many early pit stops. Dave Curtis also in the pits, now exiting. Clark Ostrom exits the pits. Well, issue for Christian Berzins. Let's see if we can find out what happened to him. Oh, loops it hard into the wall. That's gotta sting. Ficacci right on Treacle now. Coming onto the back straight. Ficacci with a big opportunity here. Treacle comes out of the hairpin a little better though. Leaps ahead by a couple tenths. Looks like it's going to be enough to hold the lead. Down the hill and into the final corner. Catching up with Stefan Vapa. He's about 10 seconds back of that battle. He's cleared Dave Fitzgerald, who's another 8 seconds back in his Corvette. John Wood is another 20 seconds back of Abba in his BMW, rounding out the top 5. Back to the battle up front. Let's go on board with Focacci. Steering wheel in the C8R looks like something out of a Star Wars movie. Both drivers are absolutely planted, regularly turning 1:16 lap times. See the toe pull Focacci back up to treacle. Not enough to attempt to pass, but it does close the gap. Focacci putting down the fastest lap of the race thus far at 1:16.4 as he closes the gap to treacle. He's right on the doorstep again. This is the race for the lead. Darren Treacle has led since the green flag. We are 23 minutes into a 75-minute race tonight. The first edition of the Petite 1.2 at Road Atlanta. Petite, of course, being an homage to the yearly race that takes place at Road Atlanta. And the 1.2 being an homage to the 12 Hours of Sebring. And this endurance season will be wrapping up at Sebring in 2 weeks. But tonight we're emulating the Petite Le Mans at Road Atlanta. And Focacci is as close as he's been all race. And he loses his footing a little bit coming out of the bus stop there. Treacle maintains the lead. continue to work through lap traffic. Approaching Christian Bersons in his BMW. I'm sure Treacle is on the horn right now, asking for a pass. Fakachi slides by as well. Treacle using his flashers to let Bob Lang know he's coming through. Let's see if Fakachi can use Bob Lang as a pick. These two having an intense race. Looks like Ian Wisbin is caught up to John Wood. Battle for fifth. Wisbin loses a little bit. See if he can't use that draft to pull Wood back into his sights. That BMW sure seems to have the legs. Treacle has somehow gapped Fakachi while we were away. Looks like somehow the lap traffic worked in Treacle's favor. Wisbin hanging on the Wood. The battle up front. Now a 4.5 second lead between Treacle and Fakachi. We'll stay with this battle. On board with Wisbin. Oh, he gets through the hairpin much cleaner. Let's see if he can take advantage of the draft now, but once again the BMW showing its legs on the straight. Even with the draft, Corvette not able to catch him. Oh, and at the end of the straight we see the gap closing, but it's not enough. Stefan Vappa in the pits, coming out. Looks like he's completed his fuel stop. Maintains fourth position, even with the stop. Nicely done. Vappa very keenly saw that he had enough of a gap to get in, fuel up, and get back out without losing a possession. And he gets back out in front of John Wood. Looks like Wisbin had an incident. Let's see if we can figure out what happened. Ian looking to make the move on John Wood. Has a little bit of an off. That's not too bad, but it does slow him up. Dave Curtis about to get lapped by Dave Fitzgerald. And I stand corrected. Vappa did lose the position to Fitzgerald during the pit stop, but Fitzgerald has to stop as well. Dave Curtis running in 7th. About 7 seconds back from Wisbon. Curtis wearing the VRG livery on his Porsche tonight. And the leaders are both in the pits. Dave Fitzgerald takes over the lead. Fitzgerald cycles through to the front during the pit stops. Darren Treacle lapping Clark Ostrom. Fakachi close behind. Ostrom moves over. Lets Fakachi by. And Dave Fitzgerald is in the pits. Let's see if Stefan Vappa is able to get by, and yes he does. Stefan has passed start finish, and he's back in 3rd. Dave Fitzgerald heading for the pit exit. And it looks like he will safely maintain his lead over Ian Wisbon. Wisbon working his way through lap traffic. Gets by Berzins as John Wood attempts to hunt him down. Looks like Ralph Salomon is having some issues with netcode. Salomon moves over and lets Wisbon by, but Wisbon is off! Oh, and he's wrecked! He's crashed the car. Corvette is a bit of a tank, though. It seems to be in pretty decent shape. Wisbon has lost positions to Wood and Dave Curtis in the Porsche. Wisbon staying off the track. He's back on. He's coming back up to speed. Wisbon seems to have gotten away with that one. That Corvette, somehow, after slamming the wall, doesn't even seem to have a scratch on it. Keep an eye on Wisbon's lap times. Back up front. Treacle and Fakachi still nose to tail. Fakachi using the entire track and then some. Looks like Wisman's still having some issues. I think the vet is cracked up. He's coming into the pits. I imagine this will not be just a fuel stop, but probably a bit more to repair whatever is damaged on that Corvette. Wisman had to make a pit stop for fuel anyhow. He'll lose a little bit of extra time if he has to repair the car. And yes, he's up on jack stands. They are working on the car. Back on board with Treacle and Fakaji, following very close behind. Still the closest battle on track as Fakaji continues his hunt of Darren Treacle. As they continue to work their way through lap traffic. Berzins yet to stop. Must be getting light on fuel at this point. Looks like Ralph Salamon's had an issue. Ralph able to recover and get it back on track. Good catch, Ralph. Fakachi and Treacle still going at it. We're about halfway through now. First and second position, still nose to tail. Stefan Vappa about 13 seconds back in third place in his Ferrari. Dave Fitzgerald another 20 seconds back of Vappa in his Corvette. John Wood rounds out the top 5 in his BMW. And Fakachi continues to attempt that hunt of Darren Treacle. And Ian Wisman has just entered the pits again. Looks like maybe this was his fuel stop. I'm not sure why he came back in, but we'll have to check in with him after the race and see what happened. Wisman's fallen to 11th. He's about 13 seconds back of Christian Berzins in 10th. See if he can climb back into the top 10. Treacle extending the lead to almost 2 seconds now. Catching up with Stefan Vappa. Vappa holding on to third position. Still about 12 seconds behind the leaders. Running similar lap times to Treacle and Focacci. It's a little bit caught up behind Bersens. Bersens less than by. Vappa continuing his march through the lap traffic. Catching up with Dave Fitzgerald, currently in fourth in his Corvette. Dave, a fan of that Gulf livery. Wisbin is running down Christian Bersen's 4th position. Battled for 10th. Ralph Salomon a lap down. Moving over to let them by. And the Corvette is hot on the heels of the BMW. Oh, it looks like Salomon's gone off. Wisbin attempting the move into turn 1. He's on the outside. It looks like Bersens let him have it. Bersens backs off. Wisbin easily takes the position. Wisbin, 24 seconds back of Matt McCormack now. Plenty of time though. Looks like Dave Curtis had an incident. Let's see if we can catch up with Dave here. Well, Dave has a little off as Stefan is moving his way up through the lap traffic. Dave Curtis still hanging on the 6th position. Dave yet to stop, getting incredible fuel mileage in that Porsche. Dave Curtis has Bob Lang right behind him. Does look like Bob is a lap down on Dave Curtis, so even there they're running nose to tail. Ian Wisbin working his way through, trying to unlap himself from these two. Lang making the move on Curtis. Backs out. Lang goes off. And it looks like Wisbin has gone off. Wisbin brings it back on track. And he'll hunt Lang down again. Dave Fitzgerald getting by Christian Berzins. Fitzgerald continues to run in fourth. Back up front, Treacle has extended his lead to 2.5 seconds over Fukacci. Let's take you up to the Treacle Insurance blimp. You can see the incredible views of Road Atlanta. And Treacle extends his lead to just over 3 seconds now. And it looks like Ian Wisbin has entered pit lane again. Oh. Looks like he's taken on a fast repair there. So this is pit stop number 4. And Wisbin is a man on the move again. Wisbin will attempt to run Berzins down again for 10th position. Berzins, the only car on track yet to stop. Somehow making incredible gas mileage in that BMW. Berzins using the entire track and then some more. Somehow is going to get yet another lap out of this car. Dave Curtis is in for a second stop. Looks like this is a fuel stop. Usually you'll see the car on jack stands if there's service work being done. Berzins running down Ostrom. Just 3 seconds back. This is a fight for position between the two BMWs. Still on board with Berzins as he attempts to run down Ostrom. Ostrom extending the lead now. Almost 5 seconds. Somehow Berzins continues to keep that car on track without a pit stop. I wonder if this is the lap when he'll be stopping for fuel. And he continues on again. BMW must be on fumes. Back up front, Treacle has extended his lead on Fikachi to 5 seconds. And given that Berzins has gone 51 minutes on a fuel, I'm going to guess that Treacle and his BMW should be good to go on fuel until the end of this race. Let's go on board with Treacle. Coming into turn 1, Treacle downshifts and climbs the hill. Coming through turn 3. These S's are downhill. Slightly come back up. Using the entire track. A little short straight here. Diving into the hairpin. And onto the longest straight at Road Atlanta, the back straight. Through the bus stop, climbing up the hill again, and falling down the hill, heading to the final corner. And it looks like Berzins is in the pit lane for his fuel stop. He made it 53 minutes on a tank of fuel. Very impressive. And it looks like he's just slightly gone past his pit stall. Has taken on a fast repair as BMW looks fresh now. Fueling up, and he'll be joining shortly. In the meantime, Wisbin has retaken 10th place as Treacle gets ready to lap him. Wisbin in the Dippa Sport Corvette. Treacle and the Treacle Insurance BMW. Treacle giving Wisbin the flash, letting him know he's there. Treacle on the flashers again, letting Wisbin know he intends to get by. Wisbin pulls over and lets Treacle by. Treacle has extended his lead to 5 seconds over Ficacci now. Steve Ficacci and the Ficacci Racing Corvette. Looks like we've had a change of position. Mac McCormack has passed Bob Link for 7th. Looks like Bob must have gone off. And Clark Orstrom has also passed Bob. And Ian Wisbin, so Bob must be in the pits. Yes. Commencing repairs on his Corvettes. Looks like Ralph Salomon is now out of the race, as well as Scott Luttrell. We've got 11 cars left. Wisbin up to 9th place now after the pit stop cycle through. Looks like he's about 14 seconds back of Clark Orstrom. Steve Ficacci coming through to put him a lap down. Darren Treacle just ahead. Wisbin running some really quick lap times. I was taking the leaders a long time to get through. "16 minutes left in this race. See if Ficacci will make the move here. And Ficacci is through. Looks like Dave Fitzgerald is up to third now. Stefan Vappa had a second pit stop. I'm not sure if that was a fuel pit stop. Backing up a few minutes. Looks like Vappa had an incident. Let's see if we can catch up and see. Just a slide off. I'm gonna guess that was not a big issue. Vappa must have stopped for fuel a second time. He did stop awfully early in the race. I wonder if he short-filled at the beginning of the race and started light. Anyhow, it's 2 seconds down from Dave Fitzgerald. Got about 15 minutes to get by him. It looks like Ficacci has passed Treacle for the lead. Not sure what happened to Treacle. I think Treacle may have gone in for a second pit stop. Treacle's made a second pit stop for fuel. Ficacci in the pit lane for a second pit stop. I wonder if Fitzgerald will need a second pit stop. Looks like some of these guys may have short-filled at the beginning of the race, assuming it would take 2 pit stops. Although it looks to me like Christian Bergsons is going to make it to the end on 1 pit stop. The question is, does Dave Fitzgerald have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race? I think he does. He stopped much later than the other top 4 drivers. I think he may be able to make it on 1 stop. Treacle has a 4-second gap over Ficacci. Vappa about 2 seconds back from Fitzgerald. Let's go on board the Ferrari. Gap still about 2 seconds. Vappa and Fitzgerald running very similar lap times, both in the low 117s at the moment. Treacle, on the other hand, running in the 116s as he tries to maintain his gap over Ficacci. And his gap is now nearly 5 seconds. But Ficacci is purple in the first sector. Looks like Bob Lang has had an issue. Let's see if we can catch up and see what happened to Lang. Looks Looks like he's attempting to make a pass on Clark Orstrom. Oh! Orstrom locks him up, and Lang gets into him. Unfortunate racing incident there. And while that happened, it looks like Fitzgerald has dove into the pit lane, so he did not have enough fuel. This will be a quick splash, I'm sure. He shouldn't need much. There's only 10 minutes left in the race. And he should be able to easily maintain 4th position. And he does. John Wood. Looks to be a lap down from Fitzgerald. Curtis, a lap down from Wood, so we're pretty spread apart now. Clark Orstrom is 35 seconds back from Curtis. Ian Wisbin, another 38 seconds back from Orstrom. And it looks like Wisbin just went by Mac McCormack for 8th position. Let's see if we can get that pass. And McCormack must have been in the pits while that pass took place. So we'll go back live. And yes, McCormack has made 2 stops. Wisbin up to 8th. Treacle's gap just under 4 seconds now. Fakachi just put in a very quick lap in the 1:16s. Trying to narrow the gap. He's got about 7 minutes left in this race. Steve Fakachi about 4 seconds back of Darren Treacle. I think that may be it for the pit stops unless someone else has an issue. Like Dave Fitzgerald had an issue. Let's see. Coming into the bus stop. Oh, gets a little sideways. Saves it. Back on his way. Back to Stefan Vappa. Still solidly in 3rd. Oh, sorry, Stefan. Cameraman's curse took you off track. It's not going to hurt Vappa at all, though. He has a 35-second lead over Dave Fitzgerald. Could probably do that 10 more times and still be well in safety zone for a podium. So if the positions hold, Stefan Vappa will maintain his lead of the series with a first place in the first race at Daytona and a third place tonight at Road Atlanta. Will continue leading the series heading next week into Watkins Glen. Vappa approaching Dave Curtis. Dave is in 6th position, though several laps down. And Vappa's through. Running down Mac McCormack now. McCormack in the Louvre's Unlimited Corvette, with the paint scheme matching his real-life Mini Cooper that he campaigns with the Vintage Racer Group. Mac always super quick in his Mini Cooper. Pulling to the side to let Vappa and his Ferrari by. 3 minutes left to go. Back up front, Treacle has extended his lead over Focacci by 7 seconds. Looks like Focacci had an incident. Let's see if we can find it. To the bus stop. A little wide. Oh, the exact same thing that happened to Fitzgerald. Oh, but he hits the wall and takes the front off the car. Manages to keep going. That's going to kill his aero, though. And he's 8 seconds back. You know, there's not a lot of time left, but if this had happened 15 minutes ago, I'd say Stefan Vappa would have time to catch him. With 2 minutes left in the race, I don't think there's enough time. Focacci's still making great time in the corners. It's really only hurting him on the straights. But he is substantially slower on the straights. The front with Darren Treacle. Treacle now lapping at a very comfortable pace, not pushing the car. Stefan Vappa, on the other hand, I think might be smelling some blood, though, because he is putting down some awfully quick lap times, but I still think he's running out of time. 28 seconds back of Focacci. Dave Fitzgerald continues to run in 4th position. Looks to have also backed off a little bit. Trying to get that car home in one piece. There's a commanding lead over 5th place John Wood. Fitzgerald is the last car on the lead lap. Treacle continues to work through traffic. Fakachi maintaining a pretty good pace considering what his car has gone through. Orstrom is off. Oh, and he almost takes out Fakachi as he comes back on the track. And I'm wondering if Treacle isn't nursing something because the gap is now down to 3 seconds. Although I think we're on last lap here. Let's get the starter cam. Let's see. No checkered flag yet. Oh yes, checkered is out. I don't know why Barney isn't waving, but Darren Treacle has won the Petite 1.2 at Road Atlanta. Steve Fakachi is taken second. Stefan Vappa coming to the bus stop. Coming down the hill. Strong drive from the Ferrari driver. Takes 3rd place. Dave Fitzgerald working his way down the back straight. It's a full lap ahead of everyone behind him, so he will be the last car to take the checkered flag. Dave will take 4th place. Strong drive from Dave Fitzgerald tonight. Congratulations, Dave. Race results. Darren Treacle with a win. Steve Fakachi 2nd, Stefan Vappa 3rd, Dave Fitzgerald 4th, John Wood in 5th, rounds out your top 5. Dave Curtis in 6th, Clark Ostrom 7th, Ian Wisman works his way back up to 8th, Mac McCormick in 9th, Bob Lang in 10th, Christian Parsons comes home in 11th, Ralph Solomon in 12th, and Scott Luttrell's in 13th. And give us just a minute or two, and we'll see if we can't conduct some post-race interviews. So hold on, we'll be right back at Road Atlanta. Again, this is Jim Karamanis with Vintage Racer Group, bringing you the Vintage Virtual Racer League, the Petite 1.2 from Road Atlanta, and we'll be bringing our finishers into the booth momentarily. Good evening, gentlemen. We have Darren Treacle, race winner, Steve Fakachi, 2nd place, and Ian Wisman, who finished 8th place. We'll see if we can't pull Stefan Vappa in as well. Gentlemen, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you good.
Yep, loud
Great.
and clear.
Can you hear me?
We've got you, Ian.
I can hear you.
And sounds like we've got your crew chief as well. All right.
Also here.
Dave Fitzgerald and Stefan Vapa, welcome to the interview booth as well.
Thank you.
Darren, congratulations. First race win in quite a while. How's it feel?
Thanks. It feels good. It feels good. I was a little concerned there, thinking that maybe a couple of the guys, Steve and Stefan, were on a fuel strategy, and I was just going for it. And I was like, oh boy, I'm going to be in trouble at the end.
Yeah, it was a little confusing trying to figure out what the different strategies were, but it seemed to pay out in the long run. You and Steve had quite the battle the entire race. Can you talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Steve is fast. I mean, there's just no question about that. He had a couple of incidents. Otherwise, I think it would have been a little closer there at the end. But, it was a lot of fun. We had to work through some of the lappers, and seemed like we had an agreement to where we wouldn't try to, do anything shady when we're trying to be patient to get around the lap traffic, which was nice.
Yeah, it seemed like a very clean race. You two were nose to tail up until the end, just like you said, when Steve had a little bit of an issue. Steve, what happened?
I made a lot of little mistakes throughout the race, and twice they caught me out, got me in the wall. But fortunately, the first one I don't think slowed me down much, and I was able to take the faster pair at the pit, which helped. That first stint was frustrating because I was behind Darren, and I thought at that point we were kind of similar pace. I was doing everything I could to hang on, so maybe it was draft. And I felt like whenever he'd get through the traffic, like a lot of people were letting him through at the end of the straightaway. And it wasn't like huge amounts, but it's like I'm doing everything for tenths here, and then I feel like I lose 3, So that was driving me crazy. And then towards the end of the race, I kind of figured a couple things out because I was following Darren earlier, and I guess it's turn 6, the one before the long straightaway. I couldn't put the power down at all, so I was just trying to figure out how to do that better. And I got it to a point where I think I was okay, and I also noticed he was killing me in the final chicane. Just, I was either on the traction control or going sideways, so, I feel like the last 30 minutes, I got that figured out a lot better, and I noticed that my lap times dropped, but then his lap times dropped, so yeah, it was, I feel like the whole race, he just had a little bit on me, not much I could have did. I think if I could have stayed closer, I think I was getting in that pit lane a little better than he was, but, it would have been tight.
Yeah, it seemed like that final corner out of the hairpin onto the back straight, he was getting just enough of a jump on you where it wasn't letting you reel him in.
Yeah, I try in first gear, second gear, a little bit of throttle, hard throttle, just trying different lines, take an inside curb, no inside curb, and just nothing I did seemed to make much difference.
The crazy thing was, at the end of the race, when you didn't have a front on the car, it seemed like you were going just as fast through the corners.
Yeah, I just looked. It was doing like low 117s with no front end at all.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That was a great run. You didn't know until you were running until just a few minutes before the race when I actually asked you to jump in. I appreciate that. We had a few racers that had some issues at home that weren't able to participate, and very generous of you to jump in and fill the field. So thank you for that.
Happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, it was a great showing. Stefan, you guys were all really close in qualifying. I wasn't sure who was going to get the top spot. You hung on for third. It looked like you were going to have a good run with the top 2, but Dave Fitzgerald jumped in front of you at the start of the race. What happened?
It's a long race, and I just didn't want to throw it away early. So I figured it would all shake itself out. I thought I had a little bit of pace on Dave, but I knew it was going to be hard to get by him. It was. But once I got by, I was able to pull, a fraction here and a fraction there. And then I was in a bit of no man's land. I had one point in the race 16 seconds in front of me and 16 seconds behind me. And at that point, I didn't think a whole lot was going to make a big difference. So I tried to be consistent, which sort of worked. I made a couple of mistakes here and there. Nothing that changed the end result. But I wasn't going to close on Steve or Darren, and even if I could catch them, which would have only happened in the pit stops or if they made a mistake, I don't think I had the pace to do anything about either one of them. So it was all I could do to hang on to my qualifying position.
Well, you put on a good show. I was watching your lap times throughout the race. It looks like if you had been able to hold on to Darren and Steve, you probably would have been able to stay with them for the race. I'm sorry we didn't get to see that, but Dave had an opportunity and he took it, and it was well executed. Dave, tell us how that start went for you.
Hey guys, yeah, start went really good. I was luckily to. I was watching Steve, and I was just making sure when he went, I went, and that paid off for me. But I was doing everything I could to keep Stefan behind me. I was making my cars wide. I was riding in middle lane. He just it had more pace than me, and he was more patient than I was too.
Yeah, well, it looked like you had good solid pace through the entire race. Your lap times were very consistent. You had a little bit of an issue. It looked like you had the same issue that Steve Ficacci had, only your result was a little better. You didn't quite get the wall, and you seemed to get away with that one. But other than that, it looked like you had a pretty clean race.
Yeah, I know that I was just looking at the replay that was towards the end of the race, and my nose must have missed 2 walls by a couple of inches coming down the hill there. But yeah, you're right. I was very lucky. I don't think I breathed until I crossed the start-finish line. But yeah, it was fun. There wasn't like Stefan said, for a while there we were sort of circulating by ourselves, and every once in a while you come across some traffic. But all in all, it was a pretty good race. I had a few blank moments when I was had to go in and change tires, or change so that the tires were not replaced during my second pit stop. And then for some strange reason, I was toying with the idea of fuel saving and trying to skip the last pit stop, but I wasn't even close. I mean, I was like 5 minutes out, and I had to pit, so that was just dumb.
Well, I thought you actually had a shot to make it on one pit stop because you were the last of the leaders to pit. I thought maybe it was going to pay off for you, but I saw you dive in at the very end there. You got in front of Stefan after a second stop, but yeah, it looks like you were running on fumes.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much fuel I had at the end, but I know it was barking at me, telling me to get in and get some fuel.
Well done, John Wood. You top 5 tonight. How'd your race go?
Tonight was a good race. Put a little time in before this race to refamiliarize myself with the track, and I think that paid off. I think everybody talks about these enduros. It's a long race, so it's a matter of consistency, and that's what I've been trying to do in these enduros. I was gridded right next to Ian Wisman. I know Ian and I are usually pretty close. He got me at the start, and very quickly I knew his car was faster. He's driving faster, so he got some time on me, and then he ran into a little bit of trouble, so I got past him, and we had a little different pit strategy. We came out of our pits, different laps, but when I came around, he was right in front of me, so it was really interesting. But he and I had a really good race for a long time. But yeah, these enduros are a lot of fun. I was expecting a little bit more traffic on this track, probably a result of a smaller field than we normally have. But yeah, I think consistency is the name of the game here.
Well, John, I think you should really consider changing your name to Eddie, because you're the master of the steady Eddie, and it doesn't matter if we're in a sprint race or an enduro. You seem to be the steadiest pace driver out there no matter what. So congratulations on another solid finish.
Thanks. This was a fun one.
Ian Wisman, you stepped out of the booth this week. How'd it go for you?
Better than I thought it was going to go. Qualifying went reasonably well. I got a decent start. I think I may have neglected to give Stefan some racing room there on that opening lap. So, Stefan, I apologize if that was the case. But, had a good run there with John for a little while. and then started to run into a bit of trouble. Went in for my pit stop and took my pit limiter off just a hair too early. So I had to come in for a black flag and forgot to clear my tires. So I got fresh tires again and took a black flag. And then I ran into a little bit more trouble there with some traffic. Kind of lost my rhythm and wound up having a shunt and having to go back in and get a fast repair to fix up the steering. But I stuck with it. It was fun driving for the hour and 15 minutes. Tried to improve. And after that much driving, turns 1 and 3, which were my nemesis prior, much easier now. But a lot of fun. John, thanks for the fun racing there for a little bit. Certainly congratulations to the podium this evening. That was fun. And Jim, thanks for covering me up in the booth. I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. You led in pit stops tonight, so you can take that away. And you had 5. I was a little curious what had happened there, but the black flag explains it. And I did the same thing last week at Daytona, so don't feel bad. Maybe it's the commentator's curse.
Right. I got to start somewhere, so I'll get better the next time I get in the car.
Well, you had great pace through all of qualifying and the first, 60-70% of the race, you were just flying. And even when the leaders came through, it took them quite a lot of time to get through. Look, I saw Darren flashing you an awful lot, actually. But it didn't seem like you were holding him up. And you were in between Darren and Steve for quite a while, too. So you had good pace all night. Congratulations on some really strong pace. And maybe we can find someone else to sit in the booth and we can actually go at it sometime.
Yep, for sure. No, it was a lot of fun. Thanks for the race this evening, gents.
Yep.
Very nice.
Thank you. Well, Darren, what do you think? 2 more races left. I'm going to guess you're probably second in points now. Do you think you have an opportunity to catch Stefan in the series championship?
Well, anything is possible. Watkins Glen is a good track, and then Sebring. You never know what can happen at Sebring. So, yeah, I'm in it till the end. So, if I can give him a good run, absolutely.
Excellent. And Stefan, you're still our points leader going in the race 3. How are things from your standpoint? What's your game plan for the next 2 races?
Gotta rest my hands. Those damn curbs at Road Atlanta really beat you up. A little bit of rest and relaxation, and then back into practicing when I get a chance. But it's tighter now than it was, so I guess that's exciting.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. All right, well done tonight, everyone. I'll go ahead and wrap up here. I'll let you guys jump into the pub for a well-deserved aperitif, so enjoy, and thanks for putting on a great show tonight.
Thank you, Jim.
Yep, thank you very much, Jim. Have a good night.
All right, well, again, this is Jim Karamanis with the Vintage Racer Group, wrapping up our coverage of the Virtual Racer League VRL Endurance Series. This is Season 5 of the VRL, and tonight was Race 2, the Petite 1.2 at Road Atlanta. Next week, we'll be at Watkins Glen. Tune in at the same time next week and see where our racers go next. We'll be in another exciting race as Stefan Vappa and Darren Treacle continue to fight it out for the series championship. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week.